Ladies, have you ever stopped to think about how the words you use shape your reality? Every word carries energy. It influences how others see you, but more importantly, how you see yourself. By changing the way we speak, we can transform our confidence, self-worth, and relationships. In today's video, we're diving deep into 12 words you should stop saying if you're an older woman over 70. These words may seem harmless, but they can hold you back without you even realizing it. Stick around because the last word is one we all say without thinking, but it can be the most damaging of all. And as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Golden Years Balance for more insights on aging gracefully and living your best life. Let's get started. The first word, just, the word that undermines your authority. I just wanted to check in. I just think, I'm just saying. Do any of these sound familiar? The word just is sneaky because it seems polite and harmless. However, it often makes us sound hesitant, as if we're apologizing for our opinions before we even express them. While we might use it to soften our statements or sound less aggressive, what it really does is diminish our authority and weaken our message. Using the word just can subtly undermine your confidence, making your statements sound less assertive and more like requests for permission. Here's why. 1, it signals hesitation. When you say, I just wanted to ask if you're available, it sounds like you're tiptoeing around the request. Instead, I wanted to ask if you're available is direct and clear. 2, it reduces the weight of your words. I just think we should consider another approach sounds weaker than I think we should consider another approach. The former makes it seem like you're unsure, while the latter conveys confidence. 3, it undermines your authority. Whether you're in a professional setting, having a discussion with friends, or even sending an email, inserting just makes your statements appear less significant. It creates an impression that what you're saying isn't important enough to stand on its own. 4, it can make you sound apologetic. Sometimes people use just as a way to avoid sounding demanding. However, this can backfire, making you seem unsure rather than polite. For instance, I just wanted to follow up sounds like you're hesitant, whereas I'm following up is more confident and professional. The good news is that eliminating just from your vocabulary is a simple yet effective way to sound more confident and authoritative. Here's how you can do it. Be mindful of your language. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to how often you use just in conversations, emails, and text messages. Practice removing it. Try saying or writing your sentences without just. You'll notice how much stronger they sound. Instead of, I just wanted to check in, say, I wanted to check in. Instead of, I just think maybe you should, say, I believe you should. Replace it with more assertive phrasing. If you feel the need to soften your tone, consider alternative words. Instead of, I just need a moment of your time, say, I need a moment of your time. Instead of, I just feel like this could work, say, I believe this could work. Language shapes the way we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us. The word just may seem small, but it carries significant weight in how we communicate. By removing it from our vocabulary, we eliminate unnecessary hesitation, express ourselves with confidence, and reinforce our authority, whether in professional settings, personal conversations, or written communication. So next time you catch yourself about to say just, pause for a moment. Try leaving it out and see how powerful your words become. The second word, old. Stop letting age define you, ladies. How often do you catch yourself saying, I'm too old for that, or sighing, you know how it is when you're old? It might seem like a harmless phrase, but every time you say it, you reinforce the idea that aging is a limitation rather than a stage of life filled with possibilities. The truth is, age is not just a number, it's a mindset. The way you speak about yourself shapes how you feel and how you show up in the world. If you define yourself as old in a negative way, you unconsciously set boundaries around what you believe you can do, learn, or experience. But what if you saw aging differently? What if instead of seeing it as a decline, you saw it as an expansion, a time to embrace new adventures, wisdom, and deeper self-confidence? How words shape your reality. What you repeatedly tell yourself becomes your truth. If you constantly say, I'm too old to try something new, I can't keep up anymore, people my age don't do that, you begin to believe it. These words don't just affect your mindset, they impact your energy, motivation, and even your health. Studies show that people with positive attitudes toward aging tend to live longer, stay healthier, and remain more socially engaged than those who see aging as a burden. Instead of thinking of age as a barrier, try thinking of it as a gateway. Every year brings new wisdom, experiences, and perspectives. You're not losing time, you're gaining depth, insight, and clarity about what truly matters. Changing how you talk about yourself can transform how you feel. Try replacing limiting phrases with empowering ones. I'm too old to care. I've lived through enough to know better. I can't do that anymore. I'm adapting to new ways of doing things. I don't belong in spaces with younger people. I have something valuable to contribute at any stage of life. This subtle shift in language rewires your brain, helping you see yourself as capable, resilient, and still full of potential. Aging isn't about becoming less, it's about becoming more. You have more stories, more wisdom, and more power to shape your life than ever before. Instead of seeing old as an endpoint, see it as a new beginning. The way you speak about your age can either hold you back or set you free. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I'm too old for that, pause and ask yourself, is that really true? More often than not, the answer will be no. The third word, sorry. Stop apologizing for existing women, especially older women, often find themselves saying sorry far too frequently. It's a habit ingrained in us through years of social conditioning, an automatic response to avoid seeming demanding, rude, or intrusive. But the reality is, over-apologizing can make us appear uncertain, submissive, or even guilty when there is nothing to feel guilty about. Think about how often you say, sorry to bother you, even when you have a perfectly valid reason to ask for help. Sorry, but can I ask a question? Why apologize for being curious or seeking clarification? Sorry, I don't know how to do that. There's no shame in learning something new. These apologies aren't just words, they reflect and reinforce a mindset that we should take up less space or that our needs and voices are secondary. The truth is, they're not. Every time we say sorry unnecessarily, we subtly undermine ourselves. Over-apologizing can reduce your confidence. The more you say sorry, the more you reinforce the belief that you are in the wrong, even when you're not. Over time, this can erode self-assurance. Make others take you less seriously. Apologizing too often can make you seem hesitant or insecure, leading people to overlook your contributions or dismiss your opinions. Weaken your authority. Especially in professional or social settings, frequent apologies can make you appear less competent or decisive, which can impact the way others perceive your leadership and expertise. Create a negative cycle. The more you apologize, the more you feel like you need to apologize, making it a self-perpetuating habit that's hard to break. It's important to note that there's nothing wrong with apologizing when it's truly necessary, like when you've hurt someone or made a mistake. But reflexive, unnecessary apologies don't serve you. Instead of defaulting to sorry, try shifting your language in a way that maintains politeness but removes unnecessary guilt. Instead of sorry I'm late, say thank you for waiting. Instead of sorry to interrupt, say excuse me, I have something to add. Instead of sorry I don't understand, say could you clarify that for me? Instead of sorry for bothering you, say I appreciate your time. These small shifts help you communicate with confidence while still being courteous. Apologizing when necessary is a sign of maturity and emotional intelligence. But excessive, unnecessary apologies only serve to shrink your presence and undermine your confidence. You don't need to apologize for existing, for asking questions, for speaking up, or for simply taking up space in the world. So the next time you catch yourself about to say sorry for something that doesn't truly require an apology, pause. Reframe it. Speak with confidence. You deserve to be heard without apology. The fourth word, can't. Removing the barrier to new possibilities. Many women unconsciously limit themselves by saying, I can't learn that new technology. I can't start something new at my age. I can't travel anymore. These words may seem harmless, but they carry a significant impact on one's mindset and opportunities in life. Saying can't is more than just a word. It becomes a belief. It creates an invisible wall between you and your potential. And when you repeatedly tell yourself, I can't, you reinforce the idea that something is impossible, even when it's not. Over time, this mindset can limit growth. You may stop learning new things or avoid challenges. Reduce confidence. Doubt replaces curiosity, making new experiences seem intimidating. Create unnecessary fears. Instead of embracing change, you retreat into comfort zones. Many women have unknowingly let this one word shape their lives, stopping them from taking up new hobbies, traveling, learning technology, or pursuing passions they once dreamed of. How to change it? Instead of automatically saying, I can't, try shifting your language. Replace I can't with, I'll give it a try. This simple change creates a mindset of curiosity and openness. Use I haven't done that yet, but I'm willing to learn. This statement acknowledges where you are while keeping the door open for growth. Turn self-doubt into a question. Instead of saying I can't start a business, ask how can I start small and learn? This shifts your thinking from impossibility to problem solving. Look at challenges as stepping stones, not roadblocks. Every successful person has started as a beginner. By making these small shifts, you take back control over your choices and break free from self-imposed limitations. What if you replaced every I can't with I'll try? Imagine the doors that could open. Instead of I can't learn a new skill, you take a class and surprise yourself. Instead of I can't travel alone, you plan a small weekend trip and gain confidence. Instead of I can't change my routine, you take one small step and then another. You are capable of more than you realize. The only thing standing in your way is the belief that you can't. Change your words, change your mindset, and watch new possibilities unfold. The fifth word, should, releasing the guilt and obligation. We often use the word should when we feel pressure, obligation, or regret. It's a word that carries a hidden weight, reinforcing guilt and self-judgment rather than motivating us to take meaningful action. Consider these common thoughts. I should exercise more. I should visit my kids more often. I should have saved more money when I was younger. Each of these statements implies that we are not doing enough, that we have fallen short of an expectation, whether set by society, our families, or even ourselves. Instead of inspiring action, should often leaves us feeling inadequate, burdened by guilt, and stuck in a cycle of self-criticism. The constant use of should can have profound psychological effects. When we repeatedly tell ourselves what we should do, we reinforce a sense of failure, dissatisfaction, or even shame. Over time, this negative self-talk can erode our self-esteem and motivation. Instead of feeling empowered to take action, we feel trapped by obligation or regret. For example, saying, I should have saved more money when I was younger, focuses on past mistakes and regret, rather than on solutions and actions we can take today. Similarly, I should exercise more often stems from guilt rather than genuine desire, making it feel like a chore rather than a choice that benefits our well-being. A powerful way to shift your mindset is to replace should with words that reflect your true choices, desires, and values. Instead of reinforcing guilt, this change fosters motivation and self-empowerment. Try these replacements. Instead of I should exercise more, say I want to move my body because it makes me feel good. Instead of I should visit my kids more often, say I choose to spend time with my kids because I love them. Instead of I should have saved more money when I was younger, say I'm taking steps to improve my financial situation now. By framing your thoughts in this way, you shift from guilt to empowerment. You recognize that you have control over your actions and decisions, and you move forward with a sense of purpose rather than obligation. Words shape our reality. The way we talk to ourselves influences our emotions, actions, and overall well-being. By replacing should with words that reflect choice and personal values, we free ourselves from unnecessary guilt and step into a more intentional, fulfilling way of living. Try this shift today and see how it transforms your perspective. The sixth word, ugly. Stop being your own worst critic. How often do you look in the mirror and immediately focus on what you perceive as flaws? Do you catch yourself saying, I look ugly today, or criticizing specific features like, my hands look so wrinkled and ugly? These words might seem harmless in the moment, but over time, they shape the way you see yourself and erode your self-esteem. When you repeatedly call yourself ugly, even as a joke or passing thought, you reinforce a negative self-image. The brain is highly adaptable, and the words we use influence how we feel about ourselves. If you tell yourself often enough that you are unattractive, you start believing it, and that belief affects your confidence, mood, and even how you interact with others. Self-criticism also leads to unnecessary stress and anxiety. When you fixate on supposed flaws, you focus on what's wrong instead of appreciating what's beautiful and unique about you. Over time, this negative thinking pattern can contribute to depression, social withdrawal, and an unwillingness to embrace new experiences. But here's the truth. Beauty is not about perfection. Beauty is about authenticity, about the stories behind every wrinkle, scar, or mark that makes you uniquely you. Changing negative self-talk takes practice, but it's entirely possible. Here are a few powerful ways to shift your mindset. Reframe your words. Instead of saying, "I look ugly," try using words that empower you. Replace negative descriptions with ones that reflect self-acceptance, such as, "I look natural and real." "My face tells the story of a life well lived. My hands have created, nurtured, and held love." Practice self-compassion. Would you ever call a friend or loved one ugly? If not, why say it to yourself? Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would give to others. Focus on what you love. When you look in the mirror, instead of zoning in on what you dislike, make it a habit to notice something you appreciate about yourself. Maybe it's the sparkle in your eyes, the warmth of your smile, or the strength in your hands. Surround yourself with positive influences. The media often promotes unrealistic beauty standards, but you don't have to subscribe to them. Follow people who celebrate natural aging, self-love, and diversity. You are not ugly. You are a masterpiece in progress, a person with a story, wisdom, and a presence that is entirely your own. It's time to start seeing yourself with kinder eyes. Instead of being your own worst critic, become your biggest supporter. The seventh word, lonely. Shift the narrative to connection. Feeling lonely is a deeply human experience, but the way we talk about it can either keep us stuck in isolation or help us move toward meaningful relationships. Repeatedly saying, "I feel so lonely," reinforces a sense of helplessness, making it harder to break free from the cycle of disconnection. Instead, shifting your mindset and words toward action can open doors to new connections. When you frequently tell yourself and others that you're lonely, it can shape your perception of reality. The brain tends to reinforce what we repeatedly focus on, making loneliness feel like an unchangeable state rather than a temporary feeling. This can lead to self-imposed isolation. The belief that you're alone and disconnected might make you withdraw even further. Negative self-perception. You may start to believe that something is wrong with you, rather than recognizing loneliness as a common human experience. Inaction. Seeing loneliness as an identity rather than a feeling can discourage efforts to seek connection. If left unaddressed, this mindset can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. By believing you are isolated, you may unknowingly reinforce behaviors that keep you in that state. Rather than passively accepting loneliness, shift your self-talk to encourage action and openness. Instead of saying, "I feel so lonely," try reframing it with words that suggest possibility and change. "I am looking for new connections. I'm open to meeting new people. I'm excited to build new relationships. I'm learning how to connect with others in new ways." These phrases shift the focus from loneliness as a fixed state to an opportunity for growth. They encourage action and remind you that connection is always possible, even in unexpected ways. Beyond language, you can also take practical steps to cultivate connection. Engage in activities that interest you. Join a club, take a class, or attend events related to your passions. Reach out to old friends or acquaintances. Sometimes rekindling past relationships can be a great source of comfort and connection. Volunteer or get involved in the community. Helping others is a powerful way to feel a sense of belonging. Practice gratitude for the connections you do have. Acknowledging even small interactions can shift your perspective. Be open to different forms of connection. Sometimes, meaningful relationships come from unexpected places. Loneliness is a feeling, not an identity. The words you use to describe your experience shape your reality. By shifting the narrative from isolation to connection, you empower yourself to take meaningful steps toward building relationships, no matter where you are in life. The eighth word, too, stop setting artificial limits. How often do you catch yourself saying, "I'm too old for that," or "it's too late to try"? These phrases may seem harmless, but they create invisible barriers that prevent you from stepping out of your comfort zone and embracing new opportunities. The word "too" often signals a self-imposed limitation, one that can hold you back from personal growth, new experiences, and even happiness. When you add "too" to a statement about yourself, you reinforce the idea that certain possibilities are out of reach. This kind of thinking fosters self-doubt, limits your confidence, and makes you hesitant to try new things. Over time, these limitations can become ingrained beliefs, shaping your actions and defining what you think is possible. For example, if you keep saying, "I'm too old to exercise," you may stop prioritizing your physical health, which can lead to a decline in mobility and energy levels. If you tell yourself it's too late to start a new hobby, you miss out on the joy and mental stimulation that come from learning something new. The more you say "too," the more you convince yourself that change is impossible. The good news is that these limitations exist only in your mind, and you have the power to change them. Instead of saying, "I'm too old to learn something new," shift your mindset by saying, "I can learn at my own pace." Instead of thinking, "It's too late for me to change," reframe it as, "I still have time to explore new opportunities." These simple changes in language make a profound difference in how you see yourself and your potential. Language shapes our reality. By removing "too" from your self-talk, you allow yourself to see possibilities instead of barriers. A growth mindset focuses on what you can do, not on what you think you can't. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings progress. You are never too old, too late, or too anything to start something new. The only real limits are the ones you place on yourself. Replace "too" with "I can," and watch how your world opens up. The ninth word, can't complain. Allow yourself to express honestly. Many of us have a habit of saying, "I can't complain," when asked how we're doing, even if we are facing difficulties. It's a common response, often said out of politeness or a desire to avoid burdening others. However, this simple phrase can prevent meaningful connections and limit emotional expression. Saying, "I can't complain" may seem harmless, but over time it can lead to emotional suppression. When we repeatedly avoid expressing our struggles, we deny ourselves the opportunity to be heard, supported, and validated. This phrase can shut down conversations. When we say, "I can't complain," we close the door on deeper discussions. It signals to others that we don't want to share, making it less likely for them to open up as well. Create emotional isolation. If we never acknowledge our struggles, we may start feeling alone in our difficulties. Even though friends and family might be willing to help, they won't know we need support unless we express it. Encourage inauthenticity. Constantly saying "I can't complain" reinforces the idea that we must always appear fine even when we are not. This prevents us from being authentic in our relationships. How to change it? Instead of defaulting to "I can't complain," try responses that allow for honesty while maintaining a positive outlook. Here are some alternatives. "I'm doing well, but I've had some challenges." This response acknowledges both the good and the bad, inviting conversation without sounding overly negative. "I have ups and downs like everyone else." This normalizes struggles and encourages mutual sharing. "It's been a bit of a tough week, but I'm managing." This lets others know you're dealing with something without overwhelming them. Shifting to these responses opens the door for deeper conversations, creating space for emotional support and meaningful exchanges. While "I can't complain" might feel like an easy, polite response, it limits meaningful interaction. By choosing to express ourselves honestly, we invite deeper connections and allow others to support us. Being open about both the joys and challenges of life creates space for real conversations, helping us feel heard, understood, and less alone. The 10th word, "I used to be." Focus on who you are now. It's natural to reflect on the past, reminiscing about times when we felt stronger, more energetic, or more social. We often say things like, "I used to be so active," or "I used to be more social." While these reflections can bring back fond memories, they can also create a sense of loss, making us feel as though our best days are behind us. This mindset can hinder personal growth and prevent us from fully embracing the present. Constantly referencing the past in a way that highlights what you've lost can negatively impact your mental and emotional well-being. When you repeatedly say, "I used to be fit," "I used to have so many friends," or "I used to be more confident," you reinforce a sense of decline. This can lead to frustration, sadness, and even a reluctance to engage with life as it is now. Additionally, this habit can create a psychological barrier to personal improvement. If you believe that your best days are in the past, you may stop trying to cultivate a fulfilling present. You may convince yourself that meaningful change is impossible, leading to a cycle of regret and stagnation. Instead of focusing on what you used to be, shift your attention to what you are doing now and what you can still become. Changing your language is a simple but powerful way to reframe your mindset. Instead of saying, "I used to be fit," try, "I am finding new ways to stay active now." Instead of, "I used to have so many friends," say, "I am making new connections today." Instead of, "I used to be confident," say, "I am working on building my confidence every day." This shift in language encourages a mindset of growth and possibility. It allows you to focus on what is still within your control, rather than dwelling on what has changed. It's also important to recognize that different does not mean worse. You may no longer be able to run marathons, but you can still engage in physical activity that brings you joy and keeps you healthy. You may not have the same social circle as before, but new and meaningful relationships are always possible. Your past experiences are a part of you, but they do not define your present or your future. Instead of looking back with regret, look forward with intention. Embrace who you are now, celebrate what you can still do, and open yourself to the possibilities that today offers. The 11th word, it's always been this way. Challenge the status quo. Many people fall into the trap of believing that things should remain the same simply because they have always been that way. The phrase, "it's always been this way," can become a mental barrier that stops us from exploring new ideas, trying different methods, or embracing change. While tradition and familiarity can provide comfort, they can also prevent personal growth and limit opportunities for improvement. When we adopt a mindset that resists change, we miss out on valuable experiences and advancements. This way of thinking can affect multiple areas of life. Personal growth. If you believe that you are too old or set in your ways to change, you may never develop new skills, discover new passions, or improve your quality of life. Relationships. Sticking to the old ways of interacting with others might prevent you from forming deeper connections. For example, a parent who insists on traditional discipline methods might struggle to connect with their child who is growing up in a different world. Career and opportunities. In the workplace, refusing to adapt to new technology or methods can make you less competitive. Many industries have evolved dramatically due to advancements in artificial intelligence, automation, and digital tools. Holding on to outdated ways of working can leave you behind. Health and well-being. Many people resist changes in diet, exercise, or medical advice simply because they have always done things a certain way. However, scientific discoveries continually provide better ways to stay healthy and live longer. By recognizing how this mindset can hold us back, we can start to challenge it and create a more fulfilling life. Shifting your mindset starts with awareness and intentional effort. Instead of defaulting to, "it's always been this way," try reframing your thoughts. "I am open to new ways of doing things. I can adapt and learn at any age. Change can bring growth and new opportunities. Just because something has been done one way doesn't mean it's the best way." Here are some practical steps to break free from this limiting mindset. Question traditions and habits. Ask yourself why you do things a certain way. Is it because it is truly the best approach, or just because it's familiar? Stay curious, read books, listen to new perspectives, and engage with people who challenge your views. Learning new things keeps your mind flexible. Experiment with small changes. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Start with small changes like trying a new route to work, switching up your routine, or learning a simple new skill. Surround yourself with open-minded people. Being around those who embrace growth and change can inspire you to do the same. Challenging the status quo doesn't mean rejecting all traditions or disregarding past wisdom. It means being open to improved growth and new possibilities. The world is constantly changing, and those who embrace change can lead more fulfilling, enriched lives. Instead of saying, it's always been this way, choose to say, I am willing to grow, adapt, and explore new possibilities. The 12th word, I'm fine. Allow yourself to be honest. When asked how you're doing, do you automatically say, I'm fine? Many of us have been conditioned to respond this way, even when we are struggling. It's a reflex, a way to avoid vulnerability, and often a habit that shields us from deeper conversations. But have you ever stopped to consider what this automatic response is costing you? Saying, I'm fine, when you're not, can have subtle yet profound effects on your emotional well-being. Over time, this habit can create emotional isolation. When you don't express your true feelings, others may assume everything is okay and not offer support, leaving you feeling alone even in a crowd. Suppress your emotions. Constantly denying your real feelings can make it harder to process them, leading to stress, anxiety, and even resentment. Miss opportunities for connection. Being honest about your emotions can invite meaningful conversations and strengthen relationships. When you always say, I'm fine, you might unintentionally shut people out. Reduce self-awareness. Regularly brushing aside your feelings can disconnect you from your own emotional state, making it harder to understand and address what's really going on. Shifting away from I'm fine doesn't mean you have to pour out your deepest struggles to every person who asks how you are. But you can respond in ways that allow for honesty while still feeling comfortable. Here are a few ways to practice this. Use softer honesty. Instead of I'm fine, try I'm doing okay, but I have a lot on my mind. I'm getting through the day, but I appreciate you asking. It's been a challenging week, but I'm managing. These responses create an opening for further discussion if the person is genuinely interested, without forcing vulnerability when you're not ready. Express what you need. Sometimes you may not want to talk in depth, and that's okay. You can say, I'd love to chat about something else to take my mind off things. I'm not ready to talk about it now, but I appreciate you checking in. This lets others know you're not just brushing them off, but setting a boundary around your emotions. Be intentional with close relationships. With trusted friends or family, allow yourself to be more open. Instead of defaulting to I'm fine, try I've been feeling a little off lately. Have you ever felt that way? There's been something on my mind. Can I share it with you? This kind of honesty invites deeper conversations and strengthens connections. Honesty doesn't mean oversharing, but it does mean allowing yourself to express your true feelings in a way that feels safe and natural. By breaking the habit of I'm fine and replacing it with honest, intentional responses, you create opportunities for deeper connections and emotional well-being. The next time someone asks how you are, pause before responding automatically. You might be surprised by the meaningful conversations that follow. By eliminating these 12 words from your vocabulary, you are reclaiming your confidence, wisdom, and self-respect. Words are not just sounds. They shape how we experience life. The language we use daily influences our emotions, decisions, and even our sense of self-worth. Let's do a quick recap. Replace just with assertiveness. It weakens your statements. Stop labeling yourself as old. Age is wisdom, not limitation. Limit unnecessary sorry. Own your presence without over-apologizing. Stop saying I can't and start saying I'll try. Effort leads to growth. Turn should into choose to. Shift from obligation to empowerment. Find beauty in yourself instead of using ugly. Reframe lonely into seeking connection. Words affect mindset. Stop saying it's too late. It's never too late to start fresh. Express yourself openly instead of I can't complain. Let go of I used to be and embrace who you are today. Challenge it's always been this way with curiosity and openness. Replace I'm fine with authenticity. Your feelings matter. Now I challenge you. Which of these words do you catch yourself saying? Awareness is the first step toward change. Drop a comment below and let's discuss. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insightful content on golden years balance. Until next time, take care and stay radiant.